Oh my gosh, what a beautiful song. What beautiful music. I've been playing songs about light. Light, 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 light. That's just how I feel this morning. Light, 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 light. So there has been a crack in everything. So good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rafi and Mandy and John and Dove and Sharon and all you folks out there on the radio. So grateful to have you all here. And where Mandy returns to us from a successful tour into uh, Maureen Muldoon land. It was wonderful yesterday. Oh my goodness, Mandy. Anybody who missed it, I do have recording. I think and it is I think Joni or it is on the YouTube channel, right?
Well, it's gonna be on YouTube. She wants to edit it because I use, recorded music gets me in trouble. But we do have it. I did live stream it into our groups when I remembered in the middle of Mandy, but it was a good place to start. So yeah, I lost my whole profile from the algorithm kept saying I was using, what do you call, copyrighted music. So
Oh.
I'm really careful about that.
Yeah. I get that sometimes, but yeah, I'm pretty careful about the music I play, if I'm playing it on the YouTube. But also, sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just says, this is copyrighted, but these people don't mind if you use it. And then there's some stuff that I have permission to use from the artist, and that I will always put that on the uh
Oh,
description.
it was I could never talk to them or figure it out, and they eventually killed my 16-year profile that I got when I was teaching in college.
Oh my
So,
goodness. On YouTube?
no, Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook.
So I've never recovered from that. I had business, you're attached to business things.
Oh my goodness.
All the recordings for Maureen went. So I'm hypersensitive.
But you know what? This is, again, the past is over. How many things have we lost over the millennia that we've been traveling this path that we thought, oh my God, what am I going to do without that? And then you do without it, and it's all perfect because you didn't need it in the first place. And that's kind of how I feel about everything. It's just like, I have what I need right now. And yeah, I've had things, lost or destroyed or whatever. And just, I realize if there is a place where it still exists and it always will be, and that's here where, I mean, not in my head but in my mind, where I am. Everything is always there. So what do I need something stored somewhere else for? I have to, it may be rationalizing, but it makes sense. Anyway, Mandy, I wanted to just mention a little bit about the program yesterday with Maureen. I'm just, first off, so thrilled that you were involved in that community now, because it's a wonderful community and beautiful people, and very, very active and doing lots of fun things. And so, do you want to say hi and talk about it a little bit?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, I was so delighted to see you all there, and there was Dove and Rafi and you, and I don't and more, Joni, of course. Joni did a fantastic job, and I was just really impressed with the whole thing and how it was set up. And Maureen is just like the most amazing presenter. She's like a television presenter. I told her yesterday, I said, oh, you ought to be doing this big time because she's so talented. No, I just really felt incredibly you know, humbled to be invited. It was just felt a real privilege, you know, to be asked to do that, as it does here, you know, equally. And I always thank my lucky stars anytime anybody wants to hear from me. So it was really it was lovely. And yeah, and going back to what you were saying just now about letting things go, which is what that poem was yesterday that I had written for it and that I'd used yesterday. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Quite a few years ago, I just decided to throw all my photographs out. I once it might sound a bit kind of dramatic, and it's not a suggestion to anybody. It's just I remember going on a feng shui course, and she said if you've got photographs in albums, suitcases, and attics, and you haven't looked at it for the last 2 years, just get rid of it. And it just struck such a chord with me that I just kind of you know, I love that thing of letting things go, and I don't miss them because when we store all these photographs up, well, I mean, you know, when do we look at them? I mean, the beauty is that now we've got these mobile phones, you can take photos of photos and check out the originals. So that's good. And I remember once when I had so much stuff from, you know, from when I was married and when I went from one house to another house, I had so much clutter that I just saved up a bit of money, and I thought, be, I thought I'm gonna get one of these decluttering ladies. You know, I mean, people who are professional declutterers. And this lady came and worked with me for about 5 days. I mean, it was expensive, but geez, was it worth it? And you know, the nicest compliment I ever had in my life, never mind, oh, you're nice or you do that, no, never mind all that. She just said, I'm having to persuade you to keep stuff, she said. She says, you just let go. Like, she says, hang on, don't you just want to hold on to one of these? And I went, no, no, let it all go. And she said, well, you're the easiest person I've worked with. You know, you really let go. And I thought, oh, that was nice because I thought this is where the rubber meets the road. When this declutterer woman comes, how much will I really be able to let go? And I just realized, like you were saying, I just have what I need and I love what I have. And, you know, they say only hold on to those things that you need. And some, you know, one or two things that just give you joy just because they're so beautiful. And there's a third one as well. I can't remember. One is what you use, what you need, and one or two things that give you joy, you know, and then get rid of the rest. So yeah, it's good. And every so often we accumulate a bit, don't we? So then we can just get rid of it. So
Yeah, and wow, and you know, I know I really need to do that. You know, I say I need to do that. I don't know if I need to do that. Why would I? Why? I don't know what I need. Um,
I mean, nobody, you shouldn't force yourself either. That's just me.
I
You know,
mean,
that's
really silly.
yeah.
But yeah, I do. Um, I've done something not the same because no, I still have all the junk I ever had. But I do tend to give it away a lot. And then the other thing that, you know, I think is a big uh you're gonna think this is stupid, but no, you're not. What is a big deal for me is that one of the things that I really love to do is go to thrift stores and you know, yard sales, garage sales, that type of thing, and you know, things that people are selling that they, you know, don't need anymore, or things that have been given away to the charity shops. So it used to be that I would go into the shop and I would be looking at these things and I would think, oh, and I would fill a whole cart, you know, oh gosh, you know, look, this goes with that and that would be perfect. And look at these colors, they're beautiful. And I think you probably noticed I really love colorful things. So I would be like getting every colorful thing, everything bright, everything that I liked. And then just one day I said, maybe somebody else might want this. And I really don't need it. And I started realizing that I could share my love of all this stuff by leaving it and letting somebody else get it. So I stopped bringing junk home, which is, I mean, that's really a big deal for me. The junk, still, I tend to like go into the clothes, and if I'm like a bird, I'm looking around. If I see something that's a bright color, that's shiny,
Oh,
uh,
like a magpie.
yeah, yeah. I'm just like right to it, and oh, is this my size? And how, and as you may also notice, I don't really care how I look to other people. I like how I feel when I'm wearing the clothes that I like to wear. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's
good.
so I mean that's me. I love the things that I have. So anyway, enough about me.
Great. Mm.
Oh my goodness. So
Oh,
so yeah, so
happy,
yesterday
happy the dog.
there's
Happy and
Happy. Yep.
happy and dove. Oh,
So sweet together. And
oh.
there's Miss Joni.
Yes,
Yeah, I think what did you think, Joni? I mean, I think yesterday Mandy actually set up with Maureen to do a workshop on doing the power poems.
Yeah,
And so
I will give you, Mandy, some feedback that's not a surprise, but in our first call, um, everybody was very uh grateful. And I think they finally heard me about not only the practical suggestions, but the rhyming. I could see that Maureen was really uh, excited too, because first of all, she's a wordsmith storyteller and she likes to sing. And secondly, I just saw her really light up. And I hope I made it clear, she's gave me credit, but I did also give Lynn credit, that it came from Lynn. But yeah, it has effectually. I've been studying the course for 5 years with everybody, but this has really helped lately, especially while I'm going to court and having difficulties, that using these new tools and release. We talked about all that. Yeah, it was another love fest of you. And I just, it was good to see Maureen as excited as I have been, Not that she wasn't excited and didn't love it, but it was like, I watched her glow. She was like, holy shit.
Oh, we had a nice WhatsApp video call, quite impromptu after that, and it was nice. We had a good chat about it because you see these two things work together. Are you recording this, Lynn, yet?
yes, I am. Huh? Yeah, yes, I
Yeah.
am.
Only to say that because releasing and the power poems seem to work together, because when you have a little code or a little formula, just to kind of a little recipe where a little box really, which is what the rhyming does. It kind of puts it in a box. It's not allowed to flow out anywhere. The rhymes are very clear, and you only use words that are absolutely the essential words for what it is that you want to say. And so in that it helps you to release immediately, because you've put it the way you mean it to be in the way that you want it. So I just the two things that I'm passionate about is, like Rafi, just telling everybody about how to release and just releasing, or sending them to the Sedona method. I feel exactly the same as that. And teaching them how to make their own power poems. That's the thing, because then it's just very empowering for people. So we have all these concepts and things, and they get in the way, you know, some of these concepts about what we expect out of life or what we expect out of ourselves. And just to say that, you know, spirituality, the path, whichever one you're on, it all leads to the same anyway. It can seem very harsh sometimes. You know, I'm sure you'll all know what I mean, that when you study great teachings, the teachings of Jesus, Course in Miracles, Course of Love, all sorts of teachings, sometimes it feels like you're always at the wrong end of it. You're always at the wrong side of it. You're always wrong. You're never getting there. You're never good enough. And they all really subtly can make you feel like that. But if you can release it on those feelings, whether you call it the Sedona method or not, if you can just release, notice when you've got them, welcome the feelings, and just let them go. Every time a feeling comes up that makes you feel that you're not perfect, you're not doing a perfect job, you're not good enough, you know. So what I like about the power poems is you're writing them about what you want to do, so they're not going to be harsh. And if you release on any harsh stuff before you write them, so what I mean is, if you were writing one about prosperity, or you were writing one about, I don't know, fearlessness and courage, or anything that you've got going on, you know, and you write it as if it's already happened and it's already wonderful. And there's no sense that you, as a mortal being, has to be a better person. So going back to what you were saying, Lynn, about, you know, whether one has clutter, doesn't have clutter, you know, in truth, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how you dress, what you look like, whether you have stuff or you don't have stuff. If we think it does matter, then we kind of we sort of think we're selling ourselves short and making ourselves feel wrong, you know. um we all come to everything at different times. I might be all right, you know, have it down about letting go of clutter, which I'm not perfect at all. I have to go through stuff every so often, but you know, I'm still working on the money stuff. You know, it's changing though, because I had a shift. Maureen yesterday. If you were there, you'll have seen that she had a little song about money. People are sending me money. People are sending me cash. And it was so sweet. And I thought, this is great. And I said to her, that is fantastic. So then I wrote more, you know, tailored for my needs, you know. And then I sent it out to one or two of you, didn't I? That sort of,
You did.
you know,
I can
Hey, go
play
ahead
it.
and sing
Would
it.
you
Sing
guys
it.
like to hear it? Would
Yeah.
anybody like to hear it?
no,
Oh no.
please
Okay.
don't play it.
Oh
Please,
no.
no,
It's
Before
I
so
you
don't.
beautiful.
before you say that, I know I'm not supposed to apologize. I knew better, but I still apologize to Mandy about, I was so embarrassed about you know, you have it in your head. Oh, I wanted these images to be different. And then I was wrestling with the ego. I want to change it and I couldn't. So I really lost sleep over that. And
Oh,
you know, and then I know better when I pushed the button and said, Mandy, I'm sorry, I didn't have the images, you know, they, what is kind of boring pictures of that car going. And then I realized while I was thinking about that is, those poor trees, they like being orange. What am I criticizing? Because, you know, I wanted them to be,
even notice. I
I
still
don't,
don't know what you mean.
you know,
I know.
I don't notice either, but you know what I did notice, and you guys, this video that Joni did of the Mandy poem yesterday was just gorgeous, and I guess she's doing it every day for Maureen or whatever. But what I watched that car. I'm like, what in the hell is this driver doing? He's over on the curb, he's on the other side of the road, he was just driving all over the place. I thought, how bizarre, you know, this person is driving around.
Well, you know, I didn't see that level of it because I was trying to fix it. But it's a car just freely going through the colors. I mean, for all we know, he knows that is one of those roads where he can do that, you
You can
know.
do that. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I
Oh,
mean, I just, one of the things I do every morning is they're kind of fantasy, very colorful. And I play that music with the graphics that are not there. They have hurts that are kind of boring, like, you know, whatever, but the graphic is beautiful. So I had three, and I couldn't, without rehearsing, I couldn't do those three plus run the call. So I opted to just let it. And there were other parts in that video that were colorful. That's all.
that
But
was gorgeous. I don't know what you're talking about. Did
I
you
know,
and every
and
nobody
it's in
else
my
knows
head.
either because the only other people there were Raffy and Dove and I. So John is like, what are you talking about? I don't
I don't know what
so
you're talking about either, and I don't know whether I was there or not at that point. I really don't know what you're talking about.
Well, if
can you
anybody,
play it?
if they, if
Is it a recording, Joni?
yeah, if anybody closed their eyes, they wouldn't even seen, they would have heard the poem and they would have heard the music. And that's
Right.
mostly what people do. So,
Oh, I
but
closed my eyes, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, well,
and I thought
yeah.
I thought that's what we were gonna do. And so Maureen says to me at the last minute, "No, I thought we were gonna do what you do every day," and I did not queue up the graphics, so it was that, you
Oh,
know.
you know what? That is just hilarious to me. This is how, this is how words, okay? We we're talking about words in all of this. It's all about words and how words can mean one thing to one person and something else to someone else. Same way we look at that video. I loved it. I thought it was so brilliant, Joni. I was like, oh my God, are you putting these on YouTube or something? This is really, really good stuff. So if you're doing it every day, man,
Well,
that's a gift.
my every day, I swear, every third day somebody acts like, "Can we get a recording of it the way you're doing all that?" And somebody will sign up and go, "No, she's doing that live magic behind." And I noticed that they like the music with it, but I always tell them, "Look, Mandy invites you to do it yourself. You know, you can do it, and I just do it because it's what I love to do. You know, it's not to make it better or anything." But yeah, now I have 10 minutes before every most of the calls I'm on, if they're, if they haven't run into each other. And and everybody likes it. It's been great. But I
I
don't
wondered,
in if
excuse me.
if Mandy had put music to it, it would have been hers. This way we get to change it all the time. Sometimes I have the bells and sometimes the bowls. I do, I change the music all the time. And then the
So
graphic changes
cool.
up.
That is so cool. That it just maybe brought me to another thought here, because of all this discussion. I was going to mention, because we were talking about the ways that we use words in conversation to express our, whatever it is that is coming through us. Uh, One thing that Joni knows pretty well, I'm really into nonviolent communication. And I took really intensive courses in nonviolent communication, and I love to share and talk about nonviolent communication. And that's exactly what it is. A conversation when you're using NVC is really like a power poem. It is really like these poems. First, you have to empty yourself of what your opinions and thoughts are about whatever it is that's going on, and then put into words what you perceive is happening. And through those words of how, I notice, I just for example, Joni, I noticed that when you're talking about these things that you do that are so amazing to me, that you tend to depreciate yourself or make it seem like it's really not all that big of a deal. I notice that about you, and when I hear you saying those kind of things, it, it I feel kind of sad and kind of frustrated, because I
I'm
know
sorry.
that you don't really uh, need to see yourself in that way. And
Well, you
so,
guys love me, so that's all that matters.
exactly. But see, this is how nonviolent communication works. You start with, I notice this is happening, and this is how I feel about what I see is happening. And so then, is there a possibility that maybe, you could learn to see it a different way, or I could help you see it in a different way. And, and so you work together, but it's crafting the words that you're saying to a person to box it in, like you do with the rhyming. It's crafting it to bring about a conversation that is meant to heal a wound, basically, because that's what it does. The words help to heal the wounds. And if you're not familiar with nonviolent communication, I'm not really going to go into it all that much here, but it's really based on how people feel. So it's really based on feelings are the most important. Feelings and needs are the most important factors in nonviolent communication. So, as we talking about, I need to feel, I need to express myself too, and not feel like I'm being judged. And so, and I know that that's what your need as well. So, how can we work together to get this mutual need taken care of, or I don't know what you would call it. Anyway, so what I'm saying though is that uh, it's all using language and words to bound things in this world. And I mean, it's why Adam was the first thing that Adam was told to do, name everything. The whole idea of the naming of everything was to give it a form and a boundary so that it would be a separate thing. And so as Adam named everything and gave it all the separate names, it separated everything, separated unity into many different parts. And those many different parts are represented by words. And that's why when we do like spells, which we did talk about yesterday too, and which is very much a part of it, it's spell, even the word spell. It's how you form the word. You spell it this way. But the spell is really um, getting a hold of what's real about the situation and bringing that into fruition instead of the story that we've made up about it. So it's getting to the heart of the reality of what is really here. And you're all probably going, what the hell are you talking about, Lynn? It's it's something I feel more than I can really express, but I know that it is in using the language, because that's all we have at this point. We're so split apart that we can't even understand each other without words. I mean, we can understand body language to an extent. But to really have a conversation with another person, you have to use words. And it's the words that we use that cause wars. And it's the words that we use that cause heartbreak and disappointment. And I mean, all those words come about because of words that are made up to bound a person or a situation or whatever. And that's all those words are actually judgments. And so, that this is what I think we're trying to do, is to break free from that necessity for words. You know how the course says, words are not necessary now. This is basically the end of words. That's I think really what all these things that we're doing are meant to bring about. Can you release it? Can you let it go? All those things are the words that we use to help us to become clear in our minds about what we really are and what God is and what's going on here. Anyway, those are just some thoughts I had. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say.
Did you pick a poem, Lynn? I just wondered if
Yes,
you.
I did pick a poem.
Yeah, no, just because you're talking about words, and I thought, well, it'll be appropriate because to see which one you pick. I always like to see which one you pick, you see, because
You know what? I didn't even think about the one I picked. I'm just chattering away over here. But yes, here's the poem that I picked. All is empty, empty is all.
Isn't
And
that
look,
isn't that what I picked? I shouldn't guess what I picked for Sunday. All is empty, empty is all.
is this the one that you read on Sunday?
yeah,
I think it was, wasn't
you
it?
can do it again. Yes, it was. Yeah,
Good.
I like this one too. I shouldn't say that, but it comes through me, see, not from me, so I can say that.
That's right. That's right. Do you want to read it for us, Mandy?
I'll read this and then you read it at the end. Would
Yes,
you?
that is
Yeah,
perfect. I love that.
yeah.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank
you.
you. Yeah. So all is empty. Empty is all. When I live without attachment, I am in the flow. I surrender to what is and let life come and go. A continuous flow of creation and destruction. When I drop interference, I live without obstruction. A flower blooms, then its petals fall to earth, returning to its source until next year's rebirth. If I create a sketch and a pencil is employed, eventually it wears down until it is destroyed. A snowman is soon dissolved in pouring heavy rain, like a meal prepared for hours, then excreted down a drain. A thought that I had which seemed so interesting, where is it now? And all the time I was investing. If I tried to control people to make them stay, the opposite would happen and I'd drive them away. What appears will disappear, along with all my hopes and fear. My outside world is an empty hologram, projected from my past beliefs of who I think I am. Every single moment is comprised of the past, but when I'm fully present, I'm free at last from my stale memory attic, where nothing can thrive. But right this moment now, all is fresh, new, and alive. I enjoy living this way, merging my essence with all living things in their natural effervescence. This I achieve by dropping my opinion and just allowing the appearance to have dominion. When I stare at my pot plant with an empty mind, I soon feel a definite kinship of a kind. There's a sameness and no longer a separation. I feel such love for my plant relation. And it's mutual. It's just sublime. Such a profound way to spend my time. I'm still and quiet, so I can hear nature's call. All is empty, empty is all.
It can be our new night before Christmas poem.
It's just lovely. And I do remember this now. I didn't know which one. I was going through the book. I had the book up. I was trying to figure out what poem is she reading here. But now what I remember is about the blooms and the petals falling, and then the excreting down a drain. And then when you said my pot plant, which
Yes,
What's
it's
a
this
pot
one.
plant?
It's this one here. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
And I was
Pot-
staring at it one night, and I became it, and I just fell in love with it. And I mean, we all probably talk to our plants, but and it's good to, really good to. But I just felt in beyond the talking, beyond the words, there was such a feeling of mutual love, and I know that's true. I don't have any doubt about it. I know that was real.
Oh yeah, and my plants all know me and I know them and we talk all the time.
Absolutely. I know you would. Could you take down the poem now, just so I can see everyone?
Okay, sure. But I was going to say because in America, if you said you had a pot plant, then people
Oh,
would
they
think
meant a pot plant, like
that you were
marijuana.
growing marijuana.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So yeah, so just so you know that,
I never
and that
thought of
could be your friend too.
it. Probably thought so, yeah. Oh,
So,
that's
would
hilarious.
it,
After
so
about
a
that.
pot plant means a plant in a pot? Is that what a
Yeah,
pot
that's just what we
plant?
call them, a pot plant. It just means a differentiation between a plant that is indoors and a plant that's outside. So it just means literally a plant in a pot. Yeah, yeah.
It looks like you have such a lovely place. The pictures that I've seen, the one with the bird that ran into your window. Um,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, what a
That
amazing thing.
yeah.
Uh, but anyway, uh, so yeah, I don't know. What do y'all think? I love this. I was really looking for a, poem about light, and I was like, skimming through and as I usually do, and I saw this one, all is empty, empty as all, and I said that's good, that's close enough, and sure enough, wow, um,
Well, that is the light. The
it is
emptiness
the
is
light.
the light. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
absolutely is. And what I love about it, all of it is that you're really talking about what we were talking about this morning about you can empty everything out and nothing lasts forever. A snowman melts. Your pencil wears out, if you use it, or your pen, everything is there's nothing permanent. Um, and when you mentioned that you had thrown out all your photographs, I was like, oh my God, that would be to me, just a crazy thing. Um,
Well, I
but
have some on my phone, I have some.
yeah,
I don't have any containers of them. I
okay.
can't I don't have any albums apart from a tiny little one. And I don't have any boxes of them or suitcase. Literally what I've got is on my phone, you see.
I
Yeah.
love that. And now it's probably on the cloud because that's how mine are. I've got hundreds and hundreds of pictures of traveling in Germany and all kinds of stuff on my phone on the cloud, which I thought were lost a long time ago with a phone that I lost. So uh but it's all, like I said, it's all here. There's nothing that is missing from us. And the mind that we think with is so limited in its imaging of what we are and what it is. But the reality of it is, we're everything is us, we are everything. And as your poem is pointing out, we're connected to it all. There's nothing that is ever lost and nothing that is ever gained because we already have it all, and um we will always have it all
Well,
because of
like
who we
just
are.
wrote, Dov wrote there, the present mind is eternal, and that's a juxtaposition, isn't it? It's almost a contradiction in terms, because we think eternal means that it's endless time, but that's what the now is. It's exactly the opposite of the same coin, isn't it? It's like, Dov, you speak, don't type, speak.
Well, actually, present means eternity is endless nows, and nows that go on forever.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with time.
No.
It's always now.
Yeah, that's it.
We are alive
Endless nows.
all of the time, and it's endless.
Yeah. And that's so beautiful. It's like I was reading the resurrection book that Sebastian just published, and I was really seeing how we are creating everything right now. Everything is being created this very instant. There's not, and the Course in Miracles says that in not one instant does the body exist. It doesn't exist because we're creating it constantly. It's like this now is not connected to the last now or the next now. There's no next now, it's all being done right now. In our mind, we think that it's been going on for a long time and it will go on for a long time again, because our mind is subject to time and space. But in reality, this now, everything is being created instantly, instantly, instantly. You can't even connect with it, because we're so boxed in by time. And Rafi says the body is a projected mental image and infinite being is reality. So, how do we square that with our lives? The infinite being, being what we are, when you have to go to work every day, or you have to, cook food, or, get up out of bed.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that, because you don't have to worry about that because that just flows on. I mean, that's just about all the things really that this little book's about. It's about that it just in the moment, whenever we remember, we just let go of the thoughts that we're thinking while we're doing, because it's just about being present with whatever you're doing, and then you're not making a future, and you're not having I mean, past, they're just memory thoughts. There is no past. Everything that you can possibly think of that you think is so important that you've ever done, like you were saying earlier, that you never lose anything. I mean, you've never done it anyway, because right now, if you try and remember even the worst catastrophe, it's just a memory thought, isn't it? It's just a thought. And it's just through our thoughts that we create this mad illusion all the time. So that's why just every time we just pause and we just stop and we break up our thoughts, whether we're driving, cooking, whatever we're doing, that's how we're not building up. That's how we're meditating moment to moment. It's very simple. The mind doesn't like simple, so it just keeps on trying to look for the more complicated. Yeah.
And absolutely, that's true. Rafi, please go ahead.
I don't remember who said it. I think it might have been Deepak, but the beauty of the path is that we are infinitely, constantly, lovingly supported every step of the way. So all of this stuff about I got to do this and I got to do that. Who is that? Cotelli says there's the vertical and there's the horizontal. The horizontal is I got to go to the cleaners. I got dinner to prepare. I got to tell. But if you're in the moment, all that stuff happens through you. And there's never, but as soon as you start thinking about it, then you get caught up in the ego mind. Then there's judgments. Then there's I want this and I don't want that. There's there attachments and aversions. There's feelings that are coming from fear. There's coming from all kinds of other stuff come up. While I was sitting and listening to all you chatting, I was just releasing, because there was a lot. My mind said, I don't want to hear any of this. I don't want to do this. Let's do something else. And I'm going, yeah, like what? And I just brought up the wanting control feelings and kept letting them go. And that's what this is. Their conversation here is serving me, helping me stay on the path to self-realization, enlightenment, whatever you want to call freedom, whatever you want to call it. That's what everything is doing. If you see it some other way, you're coming at it from an ego mind, a concept, or an ego mind point of view, and that's recreating or recreating the hell that goes on in there all the time. And one of the nice things I can do for it is every time I hear my mind going on like that, I just go back to what Jesus said: "Forgive it, Father; it knows not what it does." And that gets the quiet back, and I'm back in reality again. So I just want, because I mean, the only reason this dream that we're living in, or seems to be here, is here. First of all, it isn't at all. It's a complete illusion. And second, it's perfect. Everything here is serving us. Everything is here for us. So if you see it some other way, you're coming at it from an ego mind point of view.
Well, Rafi, that was worth the price of admission. I love that you said, "Forgive my mind; it doesn't know what it's doing." That is perfect. I haven't heard that way. I love that. I'm going to use that. Just saying, that was cool.
Yeah, that was beautiful. I just leave it a space if anybody else wants to say anything. Thank you, Rafi. And also what Mandi said, speaking of leaving a space, that really is the key to any of this, is being able to just stop the mind from the constant chatter, and just for a moment give yourself a little bit of a free space and let what you need to know come in, or what you already know come in, and be clear.
I think, that's so important, Lynn. I mean, in that first book that I wrote called The Joy of No I
No
forgot
self, the joy of no self.
There you are, you see, it's called The Joy of No Self. Thank you. There's one page in it which is just empty, and all it says at the top is, this is empty. Why do you feel the need to fill it? Honestly, the emptiness speaks more than words. We don't have to be afraid of there being empty spaces, because they're not empty at all. They're full to bursting of peace and love and absence of judgment and opinion. That's what they are. I remember once going to a peaceful retreat, but the peace really got to one man from Switzerland who couldn't speak much English. And I could feel, I think we all could feel, a bit tense around him, because his energy of internal anger was just brewing up. And one day he just went absolutely AWOL. He was in the dining room and it was lunchtime, and he got up and he threw the tables and chairs, and he was so angry, and it was shattering. And so everybody wanted to give him a wide berth, you see. But I saw him later just sat on a sunny step outside. And I just sat down real close right next to him. And we just sat there for half an hour. And, I just felt empty. I didn't have any opinion about him at all. I wasn't even trying to be good, like have compassion or not have compassion. I wasn't trying to see it from his way or not his way. Nothing. I just was empty, because I didn't even know why I was there, sat next to him, but I was just sat next to him. I mean, I chose to sit next to him, but I didn't know why. And then at the end of about half an hour, 40 minutes of complete silence, this man turned round to me and gave me the biggest hug, and he just held on in a really, and it was like felt all the rage go out of him. The rest of the next few days, he was an absolute pussycat. He was so sweet. So he didn't need somebody to talk to him. He didn't need to be understood. He just needed to be totally allowed to be exactly what he was, because I was listening to what you said about NVC, and it's certainly got the most incredible place, and I've done some of it, not as much as you, Lynn. But the only thing that I'm wary about, even that, is that we can be so careful about what we're saying and what we're not saying that you can trip over yourself. And then you suddenly feel like you're walking on broken glass because you've got to be so careful, and in the end, I sort of dropped my studies of that. And I used to work in a place that was a centre for people with, learning challenges. And in order to be deeply, deeply respectful, they kind of really employed NVC, non-violent communication and everything, which was, of course, it was right. People were treated with proper respect, and there was, and it was called gentle teaching or something like that. But it sort of had a patronizing edge to it to me, and people were the staff got very insecure and upset because they started judging each other about to what extent people were using their non-violent communication. You know what I mean? And I saw that as another trip up, you see.
Uh-huh.
So all these extreme systems, whether it's something like that, well meant, even Course in Miracles, and I'm sorry, and I love it, and I study it, and I love it. But all these things, they're systems, and we have to drop all these systems in place to find that silence where, when we're by ourselves or by another, just through our peace, by being a peace zone, we're emitting something that says everybody is exactly okay the way they are, however they speak to each other and however they are. It's all just completely acceptable in the eyes of this presence. Do you see what I mean? So
I do, absolutely, absolutely. And I get exactly what you're saying too, because I know when I first started doing NBC, my kids, my family were like, don't be doing that stuff on me, because they recognized that I was doing the formula, because I saw it was so helpful. But what I recognize that is really the core of all of it is that it's being able to connect with other people with unconditional positive regard, which is what Carl Rogers taught, and that's what Marshall Rosenberg taught, was that you really are looking for and seeing the Christ in your brother. And that's really the first thing that happens, is that you have to change the way you're seeing the person that you're looking at. Otherwise, it just is a formula, and it just is a trick, and it doesn't really work because it doesn't come from the truth of what you're experiencing with that person. So what I came to understand was that, yeah, it works if you just do the phrases and you just do it the way that it's written and everything. But that's mechanical. The thing that really brings about the communication is that initial communion with the other as an equal. And that's where people fall down. They think, and it does seem like they're talking down to you. It does seem like they're taking a uh, a stance of being in this higher place or something, because we forget that the first and foremost thing that we have to do is to remember our equality and remember the truth of the being that we're communicating with. Otherwise, it really is just like giving a speech, or here, go read this and you'll feel better. It really does have to come from the actual heart of the being to the heart of the being. And it's a love communication. It's nothing else. So, I think just like anything else, it's like the Course of Miracles. I mean, it can be used as a whip, or it can be used as a gift. And a lot of times people, like the famous things of telling a person who has cancer, sickness is a defense against the truth, or some of the things that, Course of Miracles, while it may be true, it doesn't have any heart in it. It's not being done out of the love, or the heart of the person. So I think first and foremost, I took a class when I worked in industry, and it was called what was it called? Something conscious communication or something of that nature. But the thing that their whole thing was, start with heart. It was the little thing, start with heart. And I took that really seriously, like, oh yeah, you have to start with what's in your heart. You can't be going into your mind and having an intellectual um, point of view here. You really have to, it has to be done through the love that we are. And so that's anything, Course of Miracles, Course of Love, um, you know, all these things, it all has to come from the truth of what we are, or else it has no meaning. It's just words. And I've been bashed with words my whole life too. So I definitely don't want to be in that. And Rafi says, everyone is serving. They are showing me what I need to release. Exactly, Rafi. Consciously or unconsciously, we are all serving. I love that. Thank you. Anybody else have anything that they'd like to share?
Well, I would just say that in addition to that, whether it's a formula of NVC or the course or 12 steps or all of the different ego systems, because they are ego word systems, they're all distractions in the end for me to not want to sit with silence. And but I had to go through those
Yes.
and all these years in order to get to the point where I even recognized that's what I was doing. And so it is for me, I'm really just getting to the point. It's kind of even like I have 8 mindfulness traditions and formulas to get uh, the mind to calm down, because it's the piece is really relax, as Dove says, relax your mind, release your thoughts, and let go. But that to the ego is incomprehensible, and to me it was incomprehensible, because the real solution is everybody should just do what I say. I mean, that would be the best way for the world. And when I learned those 8 different ways, all routines, like go through the body, feel your this, and walking meditation, all this, I thought it was all silly, but it was it would slow the mind down enough for that I could get a different thought that wasn't a survival thought. But it's still is all I'm saying is we if for me, my history is for 55 years the ego got its way a lot, and when it got its way a lot until it didn't, I spent the next 10 years trying to figure out why the ego couldn't do it again, make it happen. And that's what needs to happen, whether I went through all these rituals or all these patterns or all these lessons, until I could recognize that I have an allergy against the silence and I didn't want to hear it. Whether, I wanted to be the hero. And if I wasn't going to be the hero, then I needed to be the victim. And if I wasn't going to be the victim, I could surely be the villain. And it was only obviously when I could slow the mind down enough to even see it, or be that there was an awareness. So I don't remember who, I'm sure it's Ken Wapnick, but there's levels of something, just like there's levels of prayer. One of the teachers today said that one of somebody she knew's child was having difficulty and she wanted to hold him in prayer. And I called her out on it. I said, no, your mind has to change. That we just did the lesson on it's the Christ. You have to see that person as the Christ. There's no problem. That problem, that kid's showing you still got an issue to heal. And I got the eyeballs for that one, but I knew I was, ego right on that. So
You were.
because we can hold each other, like these structures help hold the ego to a point where awareness can, which is all has to be done in our minds. And I'm grateful for all of these because now I'm an expert on all of them, but it ended up being a block to awareness when I wouldn't go to silence. But I'm getting better at silence. So and if nothing else, Mandi and Dove and Maureen and everybody, that when I hear and then feel and see people who are connected, I'm getting this channeled or whatever words you want to use, it's like, I want some of that, because it's like, it doesn't come from the ego, it comes from the silence. And that is energetically a higher vibe of joy and freedom and empowerment and appreciation. Who wouldn't want it to do that? But the ego, for a long time, I thought that control and victim was as high as I could get. So now, thankfully, as long as we're here and we see separation or use senses and words are all ego systems, right? Doesn't matter if it's a ritual or if it's visual or if it's hearing or touching. All of those senses and rituals are tools for the ego. But if we can, I don't know, does somebody have a ladder or something about the different levels of consciousness or something? But anyway.
Raphael is probably going to just say the same thing as I was. So let Rafi go ahead, because you know the ag flat to the courageous, and Rafi's good at saying that.
Oh, actually, I wasn't, but when you said what you said, when you just talk about apathy, grief, fear, lust, anger, pride, then you get up into the courageousness, acceptance, and peace.
Yeah.
If you're looking at everything from a point of view of acceptance, then it's all unfolding exactly as it should for your benefit, for the benefit of by and for the good of all, and a very easy way to get there. The mind, of course, wants to complicate it and everything. All you got to say is, am I aware right now? Am I aware now? Am I peace now? Am I present in this moment now? And as soon as you are, all of that other stuff crumbles and falls. What you were talking about, all of the ego structures, is we're using the ego to demolish the ego. We're using mind to demolish mind. We're using it as the tool it was meant to be. Everything here is a tool. And if you use the ego and the ego mind for the tool it was meant to be, great. If you're letting it run things, then you're screwed. I mean, it's, but it's, I don't know how to put it any plainer than that.
No, I think that's
great.
helpful. That's helpful because that's acceptance. You're acknowledging this acceptance, and I think you're saying is, in that acceptance, as we travel on this journey, till I'm in the now all the time, where that release brings me to the present, then I don't need anything else. But if I'm not in the present and I'm stuck in the stickiness of the ego, then these tools are useful, and I'm grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you look at simple thing like acceptance, nothing needs to be changed, nothing needs to be fixed. It's all just fine, just the way it is. Just stand back and watch it instead of getting caught up in it. As soon as you start reacting to it, you're coming from a point of view of that ego mind again. And but if it's like what you said about the guy, and about the guy at that place who went nuts and was throwing chairs and was getting crazy, and all you did was sit there and watch him, let him go through what he did. And at the end of it, what happened? You got a big hug. You didn't have to do anything. All you had to do is be. And that's what you did. You just be. And it took care of itself. He went through his rants, he went through his raves, he finally got to his, to a point where he got it all out of his system, so to speak. And he looked around, and the one person that was the one entity that was constant was your being. And then all of a sudden you got this big hug, and the rest of the time he was fine.
Well, and that can be an analogy for our own minds. My mind will have a fit and throw things around mentally, but if I would observe, or the awareness would just be that calming presence, then the big hug comes in as God or as love.
That hug was an expression of our infinite self. That's what that was. That was, you call it a blessing, you call it a gain, you can give it any name you want, but that's an expression of the truth coming through this dream. It's showing you where the reality is. The reality is the love.
It is lovely, this conversation, because of what you just said, and then how you just responded, Joni, because you're quite right. It's that when you just stand back from all the drama, that it does just dissolve. I think that for me personally, calling it the ego the whole time isn't helpful. I don't find that helpful at all. I think I just call it thoughts. That is what you're getting caught up in, just thoughts. If we call it the ego, there's still room for judgment about how much ego you've got, or ego. There's so many different interpretations of that word, but it's just thoughts that we keep getting interested in. You just keep resting back, and then there's no thoughts. I mean, with that guy that was violent, if I had tried to talk to him or even be nice to him, oh my God, I just know that it would have gone, it would have been even worse. You know what I mean? And I recognize I wasn't even trying to help him. I just was directed by spirit to sit down next to him. That was it, and I've seen that happen, and we can all do it. It's just nothing special, but it is special. It is special because we can all do it. That's why it's special. If it was just one person that could do it, that ain't special. But if everybody can do it, that's what's special. So everybody can do it, just like when I was in, we call it the cop shop, when I was in the police station. I've said this before. I was in the police station holding for just driving too fast, speeding fine. And it was before you could do it online, so that's why I had to go in. And there was a very, very angry man, big guy with tattoos all over, big hands, massive, so angry. And the more he was kept waiting, the more angry he got. So, and I was really little next to him, and I just chose to sit down next to him and say nothing. And after 10 minutes, he just came right down, and then he just started talking about the weather. I mean, he was quite obviously a hardened criminal, bless him. But he just, oh, it's nice out there, isn't it? It's been a bit rainy, but it's all right now. And I said, yes, it's lovely, isn't it? And he turned and he looked at me and he went, as if to say, you're all right, and I hadn't done anything. And, and this is what we can all do. Yeah, Rafi, yeah. Mm.
It's typical of what Ramana Maharshi always preached. Don't react to anything.
Absolutely.
Just don't react.
Mm-hmm.
Sit, stand, witness, allow it to happen. Of course, that's acceptance and peace. But and you just described two perfect examples of that, and how powerful that is. I mean, if we got nothing else out of this whole session, that would made it even more worth it than anything. So again, thank you, because constantly be reminded of that is very, very important.
I think, I mean, because react means reenact, doesn't it? React, that's what it's doing. It's reacting the scene again because you're doubling it up in your thoughts over and over again. Just like when we're ill, like I was saying last week, you know, oh, this hurts, oh, this hurts, this hurts. You are reacting because you are reenacting the pain or whatever it is you think you've got over and over and over and over again. So we go, hey, just be still, you know,
What you do
just
is perpetuate it.
yeah, perpetuating it,
Well,
yeah.
well, and also the lack of judgment. This is that's the key to all of it, is that, you know, that fellow didn't feel like he was being judged by you. That fellow felt like he was equal with you. You know, that people don't come into that state unless they don't feel threatened. And so, you know, it's obvious through your demeanor, through just your being, that you were not being threatening. In fact, you were being loving and accepting. That's why people can calm down and not be afraid and not be going through those kind of rants anymore, because that state of equality that comes about when people feel like they're accepted the way that they are is so powerful that it can shift. I mean, it shifts me. You know, I get pissed off if I feel like people are judging me, as I mean, typical. You know, that's how the ego works. But if I don't feel like I'm being judged or being treated as if I were different, or I didn't belong or whatever, then um, you know, all I'm just saying is that that's the key to all of it, is just to be open to them and recognize that, you know, we are the same thing. You're not different than me, and I accept you completely the way you are. And that's what I was talking about with the nonviolent communication, that state of being where, you know, I see us as equals. So I have to go do something really quickly. Will you guys carry on and I'll be right back?
Absolutely.
Can we just chat about, you know, this is a screen. I love Dove and I still laugh at it. You know, the screen of the movie is this guy is throwing chairs around. And and the first time I ever heard Dove, to my ego, at the ego thoughts I had were, if you're watching a movie of a cowboy and Indians and they're shooting at each other, if you take that to be real, you pull out your gun and shoot at the screen. And I think that's hilarious, you know, that anybody really would, you wouldn't do that, but yet that's what we're doing in the screen of our lives. So the idea that there's this thing going on, you know, somebody's throwing chairs around, and it is a screen. I'm projecting that. And then, you know, we can't move the chairs on the Titanic. So sitting in peace, because it's a call for love, it's really, there's only one of us here. And um, so I just want to get feedback on how to apply that in a practical sense. Obviously, from a physical sense, Mandi, you were able to do the physical sitting and had were the thoughts, whether it was the cop shop or whether it was the other. But I just want to still talk about that, Dove, because it is a movie and there isn't an other out there. Yes.
Since you mentioned my name about looking at screens, I noticed that John Sunday says law of vibration. Yeah. Uh, I think we come here to watch the movies for excitement. There is vibration. Uh, you know, when you say empty is all and all is empty, the vibration at that level is pure peace. And I think that sometimes we want more. You know, the ego's entire belief system is based on more. So watching the movie brings more excitement than empty is all and all is empty. That's That's my way of looking at it. What do you think, Mandy?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I think that, people just don't like things that are that simple. Well, not people, but the minds. They want to make everything complicated, and it really is just so simple. It couldn't be like Lester says, and a teacher that I had, she used to say the same thing. Keep it. Was it key? Yeah, keep it simple. What was it? Keep it simple, sweetheart. That's right. Keep it simple, sweetheart. That's it. And that's it, because yeah, the thoughts. You see, again, you're using this word ego. You're calling it ego mind, ego mind. You're already making it doubly complicated. It's just thoughts. Thoughts, they arise all the time. They're just sorters. They're sorting all the time. They don't know anything about peace. So every time we just stop for a minute, we get beyond that mental sorter. It's just a sorter. We don't have to worry whether it's ego. It's
Thanks.
just thoughts arising.
Thanks. That's a new level. So thank you. It'll take me a while, but
Yeah,
thank you.
No, don't. You see, you say that every time, Joni. I'm gonna pick you up on this. With all the love in my heart, and I promise you there's no judgment in it. It's just a noticing, a kind of a sweet noticing that you do tend to mention. I'm using you as an example, but a lot of people do this. It's taken me time. I mean, I'm 70, and I would say that it's taken till I'm 70. And I don't mean it's taken, oh, done now at all. I don't mean that at all. I mean, to have come to a certain part of peace where I'm not looking for action. So I'm not interested in action. That's the most I can say. So I just enjoy being the peace. But it doesn't, and I used to think, God, it's taken me this long. But because I know there's no time, and we're all here to get what we get whenever we get it, the time of when we get it means absolutely nothing, except congratulations that we've stuck as long as we have, heroically, courageously, so courageously on the path till the moment we have these little poppings, you see. So we are to be congratulated that we're still here and we're still doing it. And when we don't need to be doing it anymore, God might have other ideas and then we might not be here. That's no concern of ours. So time isn't in it. And also, you are perpetuating an idea that, there'll be a time when I get it and it's a long time ahead. But it's now. Every time that you enjoy something that Rafi said, that Dov said, or that I've said, in that moment that you enjoy it, what you're enjoying is the piece of your being is being allowed to come through, like that song that Lynn played at the beginning. A little cracks just emerge and the lights come through. Right then, you are enlightened. No waiting. You are enlightened right then. It's moment to moment. There isn't. I used to have a friend, who was always talking like, well, he used to say, Mandi, Yorkshire accent is very, brusque. It's Mandi, when I get my enlightenment. And he used to go on like this. And I said, but if the more that you're saying when I get my enlightenment, the more you're pushing it away. You're pushing it away. In the realm of time, you will never get it if you think it's something that is over there, because there isn't any over there. There isn't any over any time. You are getting it. You have it moment to moment. And the thing is, Joni, that you are so full of love and so abundantly helpful. What do you think that is, if that isn't a liberation? It's liberation from some a mind that wants to be selfish and self-serving, and that you are not. So you really need to congratulate yourself. That's good, all right to do. Sorry, Rafi. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to add, in the realm of KISS, every time a thought comes up, I look at it and go, What's that for? Where did that come from? I don't know. And it's gone. You don't identify with it. You don't identify with it. That moment is exactly what she's been talking about. That moment is freedom. That moment is clarity. And you can do that all the time. I mean, because the mind is constant. It's this recording and playback machine that keeps self-referencing it, and other people have said it too. But it's just doing it for itself. It has nothing to do with the reality of our being, of our infinite self. And so then you just become the witness of it instead of getting caught up. If you don't get caught up and if you don't identify with it, then you're in that moment, that now, that is eternally now. So I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, great. Oh, there's John. He's got his hand up. Hello, John.
Wow, this is a great meeting today, like as usual. And I too want to jump on you, Joni, because I just want to say something about you that's amazing, and that speaks to your creativity. And I think that's if I wanted to wonder when's my turn, and I just got to look at you and see your creativity and the way you're expressing it in all these different manners. Like it's just an incredible gift being expressed by God as Joni. Like, and you're doing that, and it's amazing. And I'm not envious or jealous of you. I'm just in full acceptance of the beauty of that, So yeah, but I can really love you for that, because I'm witnessing the immense power of spirit with its creative energy through you. And Lynn Johnson was talking about that, and everybody else talks about that. We witness it here. So like, yeah, it's you rock, sister. So I put my hand up to say one thing that honestly, how really privileged and honored I am to be in this meeting, and just I'm gobsmacked, to tell you the truth. And that's why I just like to listen. I just like to listen to what the heck's going on here. And am I aware now of what's going on here, there, and everywhere? And these chairs speak to me big today, because who the hell doesn't have a bunch of chairs that get thrown around at some point in the day or night or whatever, and at night too, because that's when the dreams remind us of those chairs that are being flying around. We've got to dodge, and they brought back to awareness, that I think it's the Bible I saw this week. Every farthing has to be accounted for. And it's like it's like in the course it says the purification is necessary. So we've got to clean up our act somewhere along the line and recognize, hey, I got work to do. And one of the ways that we do that work is kind of speaks directly to what you asked about this movie, because Joni, for me, I think we go to the movies, and this is a movie that we have created. This is my creation, my incredible creation. The creative mind has come up with this movie of my life and what it means. And so one of the ways that when we, the moment you walk into a movie theater, we know for sure we're into for entertainment here, and we're in for some sort of unreal experience. And we're there to enjoy it. We don't go in there to be freaked out, or unless we go to be freaked out, if we enjoy being freaked out, we pay our money because we want it. So this is our movie. If you're not satisfied with the movie of your life, let me offer you something that I learned, and it's from and this speaks to me to use it whenever I remember it too, but it speaks to how to dissociate from that and not associate it. Because when I go into the movie theater, if I sit right down the front row, I'm in that movie, because I'm right in it. So, and I relive the whole thing with all my senses. But if I just sit down in the middle of the row or even at the back, I can dissociate from it and watch it, or if I really want to dissociate, I can go back into the projector room, and I can watch myself sitting in the chair watching the movie. So now I'm a witness to this. I'm not in it. I'm witnessing it. And then Joni, start the movie, and the movie of my life or my story. Just run it in black and white from start to finish. And what used to take, could take, how minimize stuff. It used to take a year or 2 years of my whole life. Shrink it down to a minute. Play from start to end in black and white. And then when you're at the end, play it backwards. Backwards from end to and you remember you're in the projector room watching this escapade, and then then when you're at the beginning again, play it forward again in black and white. This time take even less time. Just take 30 seconds. Do this a couple of times, and then finally, I'm watching all this going on, and and this is a change in the structure. This is changing structure of what's in my brain, what's in my mind. But do it in color. Whoop back, and then come back and notice. Just notice for yourself. How are these chairs now? Is it, what's going on right now? And that's my offering for you and for me and for anybody else who wants to use it, a way of dissociating from trauma, post-traumatic stress, because those chairs are pretty damn harmful, like when they're being thrown around, So, but it's all made up. So with that, I just like to say thank you. Thanks for those hearts, Mandi.
John, you and Rafi, again, the price of admission is so worth it. Thank you, guys. Dove had his hand up. Oh,
Well,
and so did
I
Rafi.
just wanted to say, watching myself watching the movie is a brilliant, brilliant sentence. Really, John, watching myself watching the movie. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, Dove, go ahead.
That's called awareness, watching awareness. I mean, that's me being aware of what I'm watching. Something that Mandi said earlier activated a whole bunch of things in my mind. This is what she said. I'm not looking for action. And I realized if you come here, you are looking for action. There's no two ways about it. It's exactly what John said. You go into the movies, baby. This is the cinema. What is the name of that midnight movie that everyone went to in the 70s and participated like it was live? I can't remember the name of the movie.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Rocky, yes, thank you. Rocky Horror Picture Show. People went there for the action of participation in something that they resonated with. Now, if you I noticed that there's two ways I can be on the internet. I can be here to be helpful, which most of us are. If you're doing the courses, I'm here only to be truly helpful. And then I notice there's a part of me that's also here for action, So that part of me is not the same part that wants to be helpful. The ego doesn't want to be helpful. Spirit is here to be helpful. Ego says, well, it's time for some midnight movies action. Anyway, that's what came up for me. Now, Shunri Suzuki, the Buddhist Zen monk who said, hey, listen, these thoughts enter the front door of your mind, they pass through, and they exit the back door of your mind. Just don't serve them tea, which is another way of saying don't entertain your thoughts. So in this world, to have action, so you're seeing the movie, all you do is take a look at your thoughts and you jump on it, just like I think I heard John say, jumping on Joni. you jump on a thought and you ride it like you're surfing a wave. You're out there looking for a wave to come, and I don't know. I don't have to explain the rest of it. You all get the idea. Keep it simple, silly.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dove. And the awareness, watching awareness that Nisargadatta Maharaj talks about, that is so very, very clear, also points out to us that if I'm watching it it can't be me. If I'm looking at it, it can't be what I am, because it's appearing outside of where I am. So the whole idea of, whatever it is that I'm looking at is a projection of my own thinking. It isn't, and that includes my thinking. My thinking is, if I can analyze my own thoughts, then it can't that's not a reality either, though. That's um just a way of coping, or a story that I'm telling myself. And thank you for bringing that up, because that's of course, Nisargadatta is my Ramana Maharshi. Anyway, go ahead, Dove.
Okay. Yeah, another metaphor came up for me. I love metaphors. I never metaphor I didn't like. Right, Mandy? I never metaphor I didn't like. So the metaphor is like when Suzuki says, the thoughts come through your mind, just don't serve them tea. Of course, tea is like very light. Everyone loves England. Everyone has tea, but you can serve them. Like you can serve them ayahuasca. You can serve them anything. You go, wow. Now, when you get into something stronger than tea, what happens? It becomes like an amusement park. And when you go to an amusement park, notice there's a lot of rides, different amusements. There's the fun house, the horror house, this house, and you can go into eat. Now, how many can go to amusement park and not go on any of the rides? Now, that's interesting. Can I be in an this world is an amusement park? Really, it is. So, can you hang out without being tempted by the amusements, which means believe, like really get invested in my thoughts. Can you just watch them go by without getting, now, if you're doing a heavy duty amusement park, like you go to Disney World or something like that, can you go to Disney World, which is a trip in itself, and then just hang out and not go on any of the attractions? I mean, why would you come here? So Ken Wapnick said the only reason you come here is that you're out of your mind. Nobody in their right mind would come here.
Well, there you go. That's a bottom line right there. I know what more can be said after that. But Mandy, please go ahead.
I love it. I love everything you've said, Dov. Thank you so much. I think, but there are ways that you can actually, we've discussed quite a few of them today, in fact, which has been so lovely and so useful. I love what John said about playing the film strip this way, that way, this way and that way. Absolutely great. But another way is, let's say you're surrounded by loads and loads of people and everything's busy, busy, busy. If you just, and I know I keep mentioning this, but if you soften your gaze when they're not looking and just softly look above their heads, you see the light that's there without having to try it. Now, even if you don't actually see anything, something happens. I can promise you there's a feeling that happens. So that's one thing that you can, like, for instance, I was playing with a big band the other day, loads of us, loads of dancers coming, I was playing, and yeah, and I allow the fact that my mind will just be completely submerged in what I'm doing. And then, but it's got a kind of a natural alarm clock in it now, which makes me realize that I've been too long in the scene and just to back off. And then one way that I back off is I just start softening my gaze and looking above the heads of people. And suddenly I'm back to realizing they're not real. So that's one thing. And another thing, sometimes the louder things are, the more quiet you can be inside. It actually can help. Because once I went to, well, a few times I've been to this place in England, beautiful. I mean, God, it's so old. It's about 13th century place. It's really eerie, and believe me, there's a lot of ghosts there. I've stayed there. I've been there quite a lot of times, but I have the worst meditations there because it's so silent. First of all, it's right in the middle of the countryside, and it's made of thick, solid stone, and it's almost like you're entombed. It's so quiet that your mind is noisier. It's not even the thoughts that are noisier, that when you get in an environment that quiet, well, one thing is that thoughts can be very loud, but even if it's not your thoughts, there's a sort of an internal sound that's so loud it's almost unbearable. And sometimes I find it easier to actually have that peace going in a very noisy setting. And another time I was playing in a klezmer band at somebody's wedding, and in a klezmer band, which is Eastern European wedding music, it gets faster and faster and faster and louder, and everybody's dancing around you. And I was right in the center of all this, and right at the center, I just thought, what if I'm not really hearing this noise? I'm just going to let that go, but I'm still playing, and I can still see the people. But it was kind of like I was just in the middle of a hurricane, and it just felt completely silent. So noise and the world and the pictures can actually be an aid to a quiet mind. And a place that's very, very, very quiet isn't that helpful, which is why a lot of past and present spiritual teachers say the answer is not to go away for a month or two or for years and be in a silent place, because you'll find the noise more noisy then. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so that's my experience, that noise can be a helpful factor sometimes. And the
I'm
picture.
glad you said that because I have noticed I can almost hear the swishing of, I'm imagining it's the blood, or there's kind of a ringing that goes on when it's really silent. So I do, and I think the first time I was able to meditate in a doctor's office in the waiting room, I knew it was the beginning of a wonderful experience, because whether you stop at a stoplight or you're in the waiting room, I could have a minute or two, like Rafi was saying, even if it was just a minute, I felt relief, and I didn't know what it was called, but it was like, wow, I can have peace instead of that, instead of anxiousness, or this should be different. Why are they not? And I have not ever had any problems waiting anymore. I go to U of M all the time, and I'm amazed I can't even get my phone hooked up and they're calling me back. It's like, it's just, you're in the flow because I'm not blocking it. I'm not judging it.
It's very useful. I mean, if you go to I don't know if it's probably different over there, but if you go to a UK hospital, before you get to see anybody, you can be waiting for hours. And but if you're a good waiter,
thing is broken, and that's why you can't find it or fix it.
Yeah, they've technology, just FYI, I've noticed technology after the pandemic, they can pinpoint those appointments, and I've noticed lately that the few times I go that's not on Zoom, the waiting rooms that I use to help design, there's not a lot of people in them because the technology allows them to precisely schedule. But either way, it's just with the flow. I just noticed it. It's like, with work of picking out all the chair fabrics and the paintings and everything to entertain the waiting people. Now you just flow right through. I don't know. It's just the thing is noticing it and not judging it is what you're saying. It's just noticing, walking along and
just
noticing.
dropping it all. I mean, what I was meaning is that well, people do have to wait a long time, and so if you're a good waiter, because you don't see that if you're always in the present, you're not marking time. So if you have to wait for a very long time anywhere, you know, hours and hours, it doesn't seem to accumulate. Everybody else is going, oh God, how much longer? Oh, you know, but you are untouched by this because first of all, you're sitting there and you're just letting love come out and peace. And so you know that in your
Gratitude.
and gratitude, and you're just helping, and it doesn't feel like there's a period called waiting. So yeah, all this is
Thank
very
you.
practical. It's all very practical.
Yeah, and then I can listen to your poems too. See?
You can do so many things. Yeah, I love actually waiting. That's I love being in places where there are lots of people. I love I just enjoy it. I love being around people and oh sorry, bye Rafi, thank you for being here. So yeah, I don't mind waiting I would wait for you. If you said, you know, Lynn, go wait in the waiting room until it's time for me to be called and then call me, I would do that just because I love waiting. You know, I love being in the airport. I was just doing all this traveling. Love being around all these people. I don't mind wait. Everybody else is getting all upset because our, you know, flights are late. You know, I'm happy because it's like I absorb all the energy of everyone around me, and I just feel so good. So anyway, it's and also because you know there's so many people you can connect with. I love connecting with people. I know when we were waiting in the Dallas airport for like 10 hours for our flight, that sounds terrible, but there was a father and his two little daughters, and they were going back. They lived in the UK, so they were going back to London, and those two little girls they're probably like, I don't know, 8 and 10, maybe nine and 11, somewhere around in there. Um, they were so, you know, they entertained each other, they helped each other, they were just so sweet to each other. And the one little girl, she was sing. She would just sit there and she was singing. She had such a lovely voice, and it was just so beautiful to be there with them. And when she went to use the restroom, I think I told her dad, I said, you know, you've got, you know, these girls are, you know, such a treasure. And he's like, yes, you know, aren't they though? And I said, you know, this, you know, little girl, she has a beautiful voice. And so he told her that when she came back that I had mentioned that I liked hearing her sing. So as she sang even more, she she made sure she came over where I was and she sang. And you know, I felt so connected to her and so in love with her and in love with you know, just the whole situation there. Uh, I was highly entertained that whole time, highly entertained, because you know I was just surrounded by this incredible, loving situation. But I mean that's everywhere you go. Everywhere is like that. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're in jail or you're in the airport or you're in the hospital or you're in the waiting room or you're, you know, wherever you are in the grocery store. It's it's the opportunity to be around beautiful beings and love them. Um, anyway, that's kind of where I come from on that business. So I was going to ask John, are you still with us? I'm sure he is. I was going to ask him to read the poem, since he has such a beautiful reading voice. But I'll wait. Maybe he'll be back. Anybody else have anything that they would like to share?
Yeah, I'll share something. It, 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 it came to me as you were speaking that that earlier I mentioned that there's these two states, being helpful and the other is looking for action. So it came to me that being helpful is really about sharing energy, joining, sharing, uniting, inclusion, where action is a different kind of thing where you're receiving energy, you're taking energy, you're inflating yourself. And and as I was doing this, I said, like Mandi has this thing where the rhyme, as she was describing it yesterday, is always there. It's included in the package. And I realized that what I do, and I love it, is do metaphors all the time. I'm always imagining, and that's what imagining is about. That's how we got into this world, through our imagination. I think he tells you that somewhere, lessons 15, 16, 17, 18. It's all about using the images. So I just wanted to share that. That's all.
That's beautiful. Yeah, my thoughts are images I have made.
Yeah.
And that's what all this is it's all images that I've made by separating reality into images, into pieces, into parts. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's I think we look at that and think, well, that's not very good, or I've intentionally separated myself from reality. uh there is an intentionality to it. It's not that, this is not by some accident that we are in a place where we feel like we're separated from reality. This is totally intentional and has totally a purpose. And that I think what a lot of times with the Course in Miracles, we get into this state where we're thinking that, well, there's no purpose to it. It's just, a bad thing that we did, and we ran away from home, and we broke God's heart, and whatever it is that we think we think has happened here. The reality is, as we talk about when we're discussing Joel Goldsmith this afternoon, Wayne and I are reading the Impersonal Life. Those books are very clear that what we're doing is expressing God through our creations, and it's God expressing through us. This is not an affront or an assault on God. This is being more creative, creating more with God's love. And that I think that if we study A Course in Miracles, a lot of times we get the idea that that's a bad thing, but there's nothing wrong with any of it. We have done nothing wrong and are doing nothing wrong. How could we be working outside of God's will? How could we be doing something outside of what God made? It's impossible. So anyway, those are just some thoughts I had. John has his hand up, and so does Dove. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just want you asked for any words before we close, and I think I like to just give my takeaways in terms of what I got. And it started out with being a better person, because that's one of the programs, Mandi, you brought to mind about, that I got hardwired into me. You live up to your big P, your big potential, blah blah blah. So it's and then when we talked about I love what you said about to sell, and it's about what's real versus about the stories about what's going on. So and everybody's got their realities to sell, and just being open to that's what's going on, and that's what's going on for me too. What I love too with this story and brings to my mind, because we started with words as well. And that kind of speaks to what Len was just talking about, and these images, because I do have agency over these images, and it's to remember that I do have agency over them. I am like Joni, I'm a creative being, and I can choose where I want to go with my images, and what images am I going to choose, and that's a conscious choice that I can make, and hopefully it's that is in itself a massive awakening and an enlightenment to realize that I am a conscious and I have agency over what's going on. That's a wide awake just to realize that. So what am I going to do with that? I'm gonna drive that with my practices into beyond words. Go drive that down to the communication is not words to words. It's spirit to spirit, driving the spirit within me to have those images that I want, the attractive images, the images that are supportive of the one life, and to be able to extend that whichever way, non-verbally. Just sit down with somebody and have that spirit talk to spirit. And hey, I love it. I can see that everywhere. I can see that over their heads. Spirit talking to spirit, communicating with spirit. And so basically, that's where I am. And just to acknowledge the start I got on my week with you guys here, which I think is just amazing. And just to thank you with a deep blessing and love in my heart for you.
Thank you so much, John. Wow. I love that. Thank you, brother. Dove, please go ahead.
Yeah, John just added another piece to the jigsaw puzzle, so we're seeing the bigger picture now. Yeah, so as he says, I am creative, and I realize, yes, we are all creative. And I think the joke is, the Course tells you over and over, we are co-creators. But there's a part of us that says, no, I do it myself. I'll do it myself. I'm going solo, baby. and that's how we get our action movies going, But when you're a co-creator, you are including, you are sharing, and those are the things that bring the warm, loving feelings that pieces. I think I put it up here. I put it up here. It says we are all creative. Either I am co-creator or I'm a solo creator. You really got to laugh, and you got to laugh because there is no such thing as a solo creator if you are created by the love of God, because the love of God extends to all, and that's what God is. Lesson 103, very clear. God is love. It's the love of God. God is love, and God therefore is happiness too. So your happiness comes from being a co-creator. Unhappiness comes from trying to do it yourself. That's it.
Thank you, Dove. Yeah. Wow. Yes, that's it. Exactly. So it's that initial joining with our Father or our source, however you want to do it. And that remembrance that I'm joined with this God. It's not like I'm over here doing my own thing. God is working through me. And that is what I have to remember is I'm making things and bringing them to God and saying, look what I made. God is actually living through me. And that is what I am, and that is what we are, and that's what we're doing here, is we're, God's love incarnate. And isn't that what the Holy Spirit told me? Lynn, you are here to be a expression of God's love, and that's it. So, however that comes through depends on how much of it I'm letting come through. I love that, Dove. I love what everyone has said. I was going to ask John, would you mind reading the poem for us again? I'm going to put it up on the screen. I just love the way that you read, and we're coming to the top of our hour or our 2 hours. So if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate it very much.
I just got one question about that. In my book, it says it's on 109, and on the screen it says 95. And is there two meetings?
No, it's because I have it on larger font.
Oh.
So I made the font larger so that we could read it on the screen. But it's the same as in the book. It's just You can't count on these pages in the Kindle.
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and I love every word in this thing here. All is empty. Empty is all. When I live without attachment, I am in the flow. I surrender to what is and let life come and go. A continuous flow of creation and destruction. When I drop interference, I live without obstruction. A flower blooms, and its petals fall to earth, returning to its source until next year's rebirth. If I create a sketch and a pencil is employed, eventually it wears down until it is destroyed. The snowman is soon dissolved in pouring heavy rain, like a meal prepared for hours, then excreted down a drain. I thought that I had, which seemed so interesting. Where is it now? And all the time I was investing, if I tried to control people to make them stay, the opposite would happen, and I'd drive them away. What appears will disappear, along with all my hopes and fear. My outside world is an empty hologram, projected from my past beliefs of who I think I am. In every single moment, it's composed of the past. But when I'm fully present, I'm free at last from my stale memory attic, where nothing can thrive. But right this moment now, all is fresh, new, and alive. I enjoy living this way, merging my essence with all living things in their natural effervescence. This I achieve by dropping my opinion and just allowing the appearance to have dominion. When I stare at my pot plant with an empty mind, I soon feel a definite kinship of a kind. There's a sameness, and no longer a separation. I feel such love for my plant relation, and it's mutual, it's just sublime. Such a profound way to spend my time. I'm still in quiet, so I can hear nature's call. All is empty. Empty is all.
Thank you so much, John. And isn't this just what we've been talking about? Go ahead, anybody.
I'm ever so sorry I have to go now, but I just want to thank everybody. What an amazing call. Thank you so much. And it's been a wonderful, wide discussion, hasn't it? It's been great. So thanks, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Mandy. Thank you for joining us and joining our conversation. And I do want to remind people that I'm not sure when it's going to be or how it's going to be, but Mandy is going to be doing a workshop on doing the power poems with Maureen Muldoon's group, the Speakeasy. So we'll let you all know when that's going to happen.
Oh, yeah. I know when that's going to happen. It's going to happen on Halloween.
Oh, that's right. You said Halloween. So
Yeah. And then we're going to all create our own power poems, and it's going to be great. You know, everybody's going to, yeah, it's really hands-on, and yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And so we'll get the information from Joni probably to register so that we can all be there. And I expect that there will be some sort of a charge. I'm not sure what that will be, but that I'm sure everyone will be happy to pay for that privilege. Dove, please go ahead.
It's going to be a Halloween party followed by All Hallows. So
Yeah. And all hollow. All hollows. We're all hollows, aren't we?
it actually came to me that reducing it to chemistry is that we were using the word action, and action by itself doesn't really mean a lot. But I equated action with adrenaline. Adrenaline. We come here for the adrenaline. And actually, I discovered a long time ago, adrenaline is poison to my system.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I love it. All right, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, John, Joni, everyone who's joined us and everyone who's watching. And we will see you again next week. Love you.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.
By the way, Lynn, I do have to talk to you at one point about